Hey folks, wake up. This is Wake Up with Mark Joyner, episode number 82, and this is day 6 of the Superhuman 7-Day Challenge. And today we will talk about callousing one's mind. All right, so hopefully you guys are sticking in with this. I know some of you guys are posting, some of you guys are lurking, some of you guys are doing it behind the scenes, but you're not posting, and that's cool. That's cool too. I would like to see you post so that you can encourage other people to do it too. I know some of you guys are messaging me talking about doing it, but you're not posting on my Facebook and you're not posting on superhuman6.com. Guys, it's selfish. All right? Inspire other people around you. It's a good thing. So many of us, we get into this competitive thing. It's like, I don't want to share this competitive advantage or this edge or this trick with somebody else because it's going to let them do better than I have done, right? I think that's a terrible way to go through things. Why? It lowers everybody's standards, all right? Let's share the knowledge with each other, and then maybe they're going to share something with you, and then maybe together we will reach greater and greater heights. All right, now that is not the topic of the day. The topic of the day is the notion of callousing one's mind. I've been listening a lot lately to David Goggins. David Goggins is this dude who, like me, had a bit of a tumultuous, rough upbringing. And then he went on to the military, but this dude went on and he became a Navy SEAL. Not only did he become a Navy SEAL, he went in and he actually crossed over and did Army Ranger School. All right, so to graduate from BUDS and to graduate from Ranger School and to do all of the ultra marathon work that this guy does, and to do it through the circumstances that he has had to go through. I mean, this guy has trained through injuries, like he's had broken legs and just, so many different problems that this guy has had to push through, but still he achieved all these things. He's an absolutely amazing guy. And listening to him and learning from him is extremely valuable. I try to expose myself to people who are living up on that higher standard of life, a higher standard of life than I have experienced. These guys have pushed themselves harder than I have. I don't know what I would do if I were in Hell Week in BUDS. Okay, Hell Week, if you don't know about it, Google it, check it out. These guys, it's the third week of BUDS training. BUDS is a 6-month course that prepares you to be a Navy SEAL. Only about 20-25% of the dudes who start end up actually graduating. Most people quit. Some people get kicked out on medicals. Some people get kicked out because they failed to meet a particular standard. All right, now the first 2 weeks, they physically break you down, especially that first week. They break you down really hard. Second week is a little bit easier, still tough physically, but they aren't pushing you as hard as they did in the first week. But then on third week, so what they call it is 2 weeks in a long day, because that third week is basically you staying up for 6 days straight. Now, they might give you an hour of sleep a day during that thing. Now, the one respite that you get in the whole thing is that they feed you tons of food so that you can be fueled up. But here's the thing, getting by on 1 hour of sleep a night with the physical exertion that they're pushing you through, man, at the end of 6 days, you're starting to lose your mind a little bit. And part of the whole purpose of this, part of the whole point, is they are teaching you that you are capable of pushing yourself much, much further than you think. Now, one of the ways that you become capable of doing this is using Goggins. His phrase for this is callousing the mind. It's a metaphor for the callus we get on our hands. Right now, my hands are not as calloused as they normally are because I haven't been on gymnastic rings for a while. It's going to be changing here in the next few days because we finally got stuff set up where I can get back into it. Well, what does that callus do? Well, when you get on the rings the first time and you're gripping it, it really starts to chafe the hand, and then it's raw and it's painful and it can even get bloody and nasty. Then over time, you develop a callus there, and then that callus You know, it sort of it toughens that skin so that when you grip those rings and you're doing all the work that you're doing, it's not making you bloody and raw anymore, right? It's you know, it's protecting the hand. Well, the notion of the calloused mind is developing the mind to a point where you have experienced so much hardship that whenever hardship comes again, you can deal with it just fine because your mind has been calloused over by the difficult experiences that you have gone through up to this point. So guys like Goggins, they seek out challenge. They want to actually put themselves in extremely demanding situations that push them to the limits of what they're capable of, not just because of what it does to their body, but primarily because of what it does to your mind, because of the callousing effect on the mind. And most of us in this day and age, in the wussification that is going on in the world right now, we don't think like that. We want to seek out comfort. In fact, even the term callous is even used as a pejorative to refer to people who are heartless and unconcerned, right? It's interesting how that, you know, has a pejorative connotation in modern parlance. I mean, to me, language is fascinating. It is a tell often of what is going on in culture. You know, is that related to the fact, you know, that people are kind of wussifying themselves in today's day and age? I don't know, possibly, but it's interesting to observe nonetheless. Now, most of us don't want to do this. We don't want to do it at all. Why? Because we don't see any point in putting ourselves through the suffering. Why would you make yourself suffer for the sole purpose of being able to suffer more greatly later on? What is the purpose of that? Well, here's the purpose. The purpose is the suffering is going to come to you no matter what. You can hide from it. You can put yourself in a little cocoon. You can wrap yourself in a bubble. You can nerf the world. One way or another, the universe is going to figure out how to make you suffer. I think that's the way the universe is designed. Now think about it. If you've been living your life that way, if you've been living a life of comfort, avoiding challenges, avoiding difficulties, has that not shown up in your life in other forms of suffering? Because that other dude who was tougher than you was able to get the girl. All right? That's why. That's why. Because you wussified yourself. It's going to show up in the form of you getting illness. You're going to get, you can't just sit around and live a life of comfort and ease and have it not manifest an illness in your body at some point. You are going to become weak and frailty, and that weakness and frailty is going to get so extreme that you aren't going to be able to do the normal day-to-day stuff that keeps you comfortable. That's what happens. It's just a natural process of life. So instead of doing that, instead of allowing the pain to come chase you down, a completely different orientation to this thing is to chase the pain down yourself. Experience it on your terms. Another thing that the Navy SEALs like to say, I didn't know that they said this until I started, digging deeper into their whole culture and their ethos. I've always had this saying where I say, well, you pay now or you pay later. It turns out that's a SEAL thing. They say that too. I love that. I should have joined the SEALs. I love that culture that those guys have built. And it makes perfect sense. Think about it. You're going to pay the suffering now, or you're going to pay in suffering later. Pay for the suffering now on your terms. That calluses your mind. And then when the suffering comes in the future, you are going to better be able to handle it. Now, why is it important to be able to handle it? Well, one, it's going to suck less. All right? It's actually going to suck less because you chose to experience suck on your own terms. And two, it means you're going to be able to push yourself harder to get the things that you really want. There are probably some things that you really, really, really want in life that you have convinced yourself you cannot have. And the only thing stopping you from getting it is you pushing yourself past that comfort zone, past that limit. All right, there are days where I don't want to do stuff. I don't always succeed in pushing myself as hard as I would like to. When I don't, I feel terrible about myself. Why? Because I know that I could have done better. I pussed out, okay? Pardon me if that language offends anybody, but that's the reality. That's the reality of it. And maybe that's an anti-feminist metaphor. I apologize for that if that offends any women. I'm talking about men, I'm talking about women, I'm talking about everybody. We're all in this boat together, all right? That's what I'm talking about. Now, on the days where I do push myself, where I'm like, man, I really don't feel like getting up and doing my morning routine right now. I don't want to, but I'm gonna. That's one thing I tell myself all the time. I say that, I get up and I go do it. And then sometimes my body's so sore from workouts that I'm like, man, I need a recovery day. I don't want to do the work that my company requires me to do. I don't have to be accountable to anybody. I don't have a boss, but I'm accountable to my team. They know whether or not I'm pushing myself. They can tell. They can see the results. So on the days that I don't want to do it, that's when it's even more important to push myself, because that further calluses the mind. What that means is the next day I have a bad day where my body is sore, where I'm experiencing DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, because my trainers are kicking my ass really hard. If I don't want to work that day, if I don't feel like it's easy for me to turn my brain on enough to get real good intellectual work in, that's when it's important for me to push through that, to face it, to say, okay, I've gone into Simpleology, I've done Start My Day, I've used timing prioritization to know what the most important stuff is that I need to do, what the most powerful, the best combination of high impact and minimal effort. I know exactly what that thing is for me to do. I'm just going to roll up my sleeves and do it, even if I don't feel like doing it. If I think, man, maybe I'm not going to do this to the best of my ability today, I'm still going to get in there and do it. Why? Because there is value in doing it when you don't want to do it. Next time that happens, it's going to be a little bit easier. You're going to be able to push yourself a little bit further. And if you want to get all these things that you dream about, they're not going to come by you living to your previous life standards. You've got to raise the standards of what you demand from yourself. Can you possibly expect a different quality of life to come to you miraculously without changing the level at which you perform? Is it reasonable to expect that? I don't think so. I don't think that's reasonable at all. I know there are a lot of people out there that think that the law of attraction works like this. You just go, oh, $1 million, and it pops in front of you. I ain't seen it. Okay, and not even the real law of attraction guys say that. My great friend, Dr. Joe Vitale, even in the movie The Secret, talks very, very emphatically about the importance of action. All of the people who write about law of attraction, at least in any intelligent way as far as I'm concerned, talk about the importance of action. It's in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, probably the most popular book on law of attraction ever written. All right, it's in there. It's even in religious faith. I don't remember what book this is of the Bible, but I believe in the Bible it says faith without work is dead. I believe even in Buddhism, they talk about the importance of taking responsibility for yourself, for understanding the cause and effect relationship of the universe, and saying, well, I am going to, if everything is cause and effect, I am going to become a cause for the things that I want. I am going to become a cause for the things that I want. Ponder that today, my friends. You have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.